Hi there, and welcome to Celeb Tea. The Real Housewives of New Jersey first aired in 2009, and Teresa Giudice stormed onto Bravo's stage like a hurricane in stilettos. She wasn't refined, nor was she understated. Teresa exuded a boisterous, flamboyant, and unabashedly extravagant personality. From the beginning, her obsession with appearances was impossible to ignore. She paraded designer handbags, spoke endlessly about wealth, and carefully curated the image of a glamorous wife and devoted mother. Yet beneath the glitz, what many viewers really saw was a woman desperate to outshine everyone around her. Her defining moment came in a scene that would forever alter her reality TV legacy. During a dinner party that spiraled into chaos, Teresa's boiling anger erupted into one of the most unforgettable acts in Bravo history, the infamous table flip. In that instant, she transformed from just another housewife into the face of the franchise. She wasn't merely dramatic, she was explosive, unpredictable, and tailor-made for reality television. Fans couldn't look away. Some admired her fiery personality, while others were repulsed by her temper. But no one ignored her. Teresa quickly became Bravo's crown jewel, the self-declared Queen of Jersey, whose mere presence promised conflict, chaos, and sky-high ratings. Yet, behind the shouting matches and diamond-studded image, warning signs had already begun to show. The temper that made her famous wasn't a playful act for the cameras. It was part of her reality, and the extravagant lifestyle she flaunted wasn't built on a stable foundation. To the world, she looked like a woman who had it all. In truth, her empire was built on shaky ground, and it was only a matter of time before it all collapsed. After Teresa's explosive rise to fame, she and her husband Joe wasted no time flaunting their Bravo earnings. Viewers watched as they settled into an enormous New Jersey mansion decked out with chandeliers, sweeping marble staircases, and golden accents. The couple boasted about their designer wardrobes, expensive cars, and lavish jewelry. Their narrative centered on success and excess, but off-camera, the story was starkly different. Debt was mounting, Joe's businesses were failing, and their endless spending spree created a financial nightmare. Teresa often bragged about paying cash for expensive furniture, but court documents later revealed the truth. The so-called empire was crumbling under unpaid bills and financial deceit. The illusion shattered in 2011 when the couple declared bankruptcy. Fans discovered that their luxurious lifestyle was little more than smoke and mirrors, built on credit, loans, and questionable financial maneuvers. Instead of scaling back and acknowledging the mess, Teresa doubled down. She published cookbooks, posed for glossy magazines, and painted herself as the victim of bad circumstances, all while the walls of her financial house were closing in. By 2013, things had escalated far beyond bankruptcy. Teresa and Joe were indicted on dozens of counts, including bank fraud, wire fraud, mail fraud, and concealing assets during bankruptcy. Prosecutors accused them of falsifying loan applications, inflating incomes, and lying to financial institutions just to maintain their glamorous image. The very persona Teresa had carefully crafted, luxurious, loyal, larger than life, now looked like a mask. No longer just a reality star, she was now a criminal defendant, battling for her freedom in federal court. The fame that once elevated her had now turned on her, exposing her deepest lies. Instead of viewers asking how fabulous she was, they wondered how long it would be before the Queen of Jersey swapped designer gowns for a prison jumpsuit. The couple eventually admitted guilt in what prosecutors described as a long-running financial fraud conspiracy. Together, they confessed to hiding assets, falsifying income, and securing millions in fraudulent loans. Teresa, once adored for her fierceness, was now notorious for deception. Her sentencing marked one of the most surreal moments in Housewives history. Joe received a 41-month prison term, while Teresa was sentenced to 15 months. For a woman who had built her brand on luxury and strength, the sight of her breaking down in court, begging for mercy, was jarring. Yet the judge remained firm. When she entered the Danbury Correctional Facility in Connecticut, fans struggled to reconcile the image of the glamorous Bravo star with that of a federal inmate. Gone were the stilettos, designer purses, and glamorous hair. In their place were drab prison uniforms, cafeteria meals, and daily chores. America watched with morbid fascination as Bravo turned Teresa's downfall into must-see television. Her incarceration was framed as entertainment, complete with special episodes and endless media coverage. Some viewers pitied her, convinced she was dragged down by Joe's shady dealings. Others saw it as justice for years of arrogance and deception. But what couldn't be denied was how completely Teresa's image had changed. Once celebrated as untouchable, she was now mocked as just another fraudster who had flown too close to the sun. Meanwhile, rumors swirled about Joe's future. With his Italian citizenship, whispers grew louder that he might be deported after serving his sentence. The once picture-perfect family Teresa had promoted on Bravo was crumbling before the nation's eyes. The woman who had famously flipped tables was now cleaning them in prison. The fierce personality that had made her a household name couldn't protect her behind bars. When Teresa finally walked out of prison in December 2015, she didn't fade quietly into the background. Instead, she stepped directly back into the spotlight. Bravo cameras captured every moment of her release, her reunion with her daughters, and her re-entry into reality television. For many, it was surreal. The same woman who once flaunted wealth and temper tantrums was now using her prison experience as content. Within weeks, Teresa was writing books, filming specials, and giving interviews about her life behind bars. She managed to spin her sentence into another money-making opportunity. The public, however, was split. Some fans sympathized, believing Teresa was simply a wife caught up in Joe's shady dealings. Others felt she had been just as guilty and manipulative as he was. Either way, her return stirred emotions and controversy. The drama didn't end there. Years of simmering tension with her sister-in-law Melissa Gorga reignited almost immediately. Their relationship, always rocky, became a central storyline once again. Accusations of betrayal, lies, and jealousy flew back and forth. At the same time, former friend Jacqueline Larita resurfaced, publicly criticizing Teresa for never taking responsibility for her actions. Even Danielle Staub, another notorious RHNJ alum, returned to stir the pot. Teresa leaned into her victim narrative, portraying herself as a struggling single mother while Joe served his sentence. But while she claimed hardship, her actions told another story. She signed lucrative book deals, appeared at high-profile events, and showcased herself in designer clothes once again. Humility wasn't in her vocabulary. When Joe was eventually released from prison, his troubles were far from over. With his conviction and lack of U.S. citizenship, immigration authorities ordered him deported to Italy. Rather than stand by him in the way she once promised, Teresa began to distance herself. The loyal housewife image, the woman who had always said family first, shattered. By 2019, the cracks in her image were too deep to ignore. Teresa was no longer viewed as Bravo's golden girl. Instead, she was polarizing, loved by some die-hard fans, but despised by many others who saw her as manipulative, selfish, and desperate to stay relevant. Her next chapter only made matters worse. After divorcing Joe, Teresa moved quickly into a new romance with businessman Luis Ruelas. At first, it seemed like the fairy tale comeback she desperately wanted. She flaunted their relationship on social media, lavish vacations, roses, and over-the-top gestures. But it wasn't long before Luis raised eyebrows. Former partners accused him of controlling behavior, and reports surfaced about questionable business dealings. His bizarre on-camera behavior only amplified fans' unease. One infamous reunion clip showed him admitting he wore his ex-girlfriend's pajamas as part of a healing exercise. While the cast chuckled awkwardly, viewers were unsettled. Still, Teresa pressed forward, ignoring the red flags. In 2022, she and Luis married in a spectacle that could only be described as circus-like. The ceremony featured extravagant decor, oversized tiaras, and Bravo cameras capturing every detail. But the most shocking part of the wedding wasn't her gown or the decor. It was who didn't attend. Her brother Joe and Melissa Gorga skipped the event, making their fractured relationship painfully public. For years, Teresa's brand had revolved around family loyalty and honoring her parents' legacy. But now, she appeared to be discarding family ties in favor of Luis and continued drama. Fans who once admired her loyalty began calling her hypocritical and toxic. The backlash was fierce. Online, she was dragged as out of touch and blind to red flags. Instead of elevating her image, Luis's controversies dragged her down further. Even longtime allies on the show began to keep their distance. By 2023, Teresa's biggest battles weren't with castmates, but with her own blood. Her feud with Joe and Melissa reached a boiling point, spilling into every Bravo reunion and media headline. What once felt like raw, emotional family conflict now looked repetitive and stale. Viewers were tired of the recycled accusations, betrayal, lies, shady deals, and constant claims of victimhood. Social media turned harsh. Former fans called her the real problem in Jersey, accusing her of bullying and never accepting accountability. Teresa, once seen as entertaining chaos, was now labeled toxic energy dragging the show down. The woman who flipped the most iconic table in Housewives history had managed to flip her own reputation upside down. By 2024, her standing had collapsed entirely. She had gone from Bravo royalty to Bravo's villain. Online petitions circulated, demanding that she be fired from the Real Housewives of New Jersey. Viewers argued she no longer brought excitement to the franchise, only negativity. Still, Teresa refused to step away. She defended Luis relentlessly, even as lawsuits and bizarre stories about him surfaced. Instead of rebuilding her image, she doubled down, standing by him and lashing out at critics. To many, it looked like she was clinging desperately to relevance, even if it meant destroying what little goodwill she had left. Her attempts to salvage her career, launching podcasts, teasing spin-offs, and appearing on reality specials, only reinforced the perception of desperation. Fans watched not with admiration, but with disbelief. The truth had become impossible to ignore. Teresa Giudice was no longer Bravo's queen. She was no longer the fiery housewife audiences rooted for, even when she was at her messiest. Instead, she had become a cautionary tale. Her story now reads like a warning about the dark side of reality TV fame. She traded loyalty for headlines, family for drama, and credibility for chaos. What began as a rise fueled by temper and theatrics ended in scandal, betrayal, and self-destruction. From iconic table flips to prison jumpsuits, from family loyalty to fractured bonds, Teresa's journey embodies both the glitter and the downfall of reality television. Fans once adored her for her unpredictability. Now, many want her gone. In the end, Teresa Giudice didn't just fall from grace. She burned her own crown. Once the Queen of Jersey, she now serves as a stark reminder that in the world of reality TV, no crown lasts forever.